All right, traders, welcome on back here this Wednesday, May 14th. Great to have all of our students and members live inside our live trading room here. Got Lynn and Randy, one of our new trial members as well. Clarence, great to have you back as well, Clarence. Larry, Anna, John, Kathleen, got Michael, got Steve, got Jim from up earlier, Kerry from before. A bunch of us just here inside our live trading room. Just joining us back as well if you're on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the works, popping up right in front of my ugly mug at least. At Cyber Trading You, if you are not subscribed right to our social media streams or platforms alike, there it is on the bottom left, just down below at Cyber Trading You. But top right into the thick of things as always, folks. Great to see Leda, Buongiorno, Andrea, Lawrence, Margaret, all of us here as well. Now, I know Fausto wrote to you earlier. He got back in on this Archer trade. He added more to it just a moment ago. We have been on top of this for a long time. This is Fausto's pet project. I finally had the chance to jump in back from the other day. So let's just go over Archer to start at least. It's one that, again, we've nailed from the end of last year. Fausto is the main one behind this, at least from October into November, coming off the whole New Jersey drone situation, all that crazy stuff, right? Well, this wasn't the only stock that popped at that time, autonomous driving, the drones, all of that together. So there's a bunch of trades, but this has by far been the best. And going into this squeeze from a couple of weeks ago, Fausto is just talking about it more and more. And that's where I finally said, I'm like, all right, finally, I got to get in on this thing with you. It's a nice stock. I felt as good about it as he did. He was just making all the money on it. But listen, this thing has all of the redeeming characteristics that we want to see a stock have. It's not too expensive, let alone, but obviously has really good spread, large, orders at pretty much every price. You might think that's like not good because, a stock's not going to move more than if it has all these, orders to fill. That's good for us because we're going to find it easier to manage the trade. You don't want a stock to be too chaotic, go up and down through the spin cycle, as I like to say, through the laundry machine there. But, that's where this has been very volatile in a good way. There's a lot of hype behind it. And then heading into the earnings from the other day, that's where a bunch of us, Joyce, Bill, got Kathleen, I think, from before, Charles, a few more of us that wrote to me earlier that have been in this trade from yesterday morning with me. And, hey, heading into the afternoon now, looks as good as any other stock that we can work with here. So, yeah, I'm going to put this on our watch list to start ACHR Archer. Now, again, there are other like drone, autonomous driving-esque type of stocks. JOBY, maybe. It's not really up or down much of anything. You could see back from November, December, we did very well on it. But this looks a hell of a lot stronger compared to that Jobby. So I'd rather not focus on that other one. How about RCAT? That was a great one that we did pretty well on back around the same time. One of the larger squeezes that we had here. Well, clearly of late, it hasn't been proving itself. I'm sure someday these stocks are going to have their day in the sun, but that's where I mentioned even this thing. Look at this ONDS stock. We did really well on this as well, and I was looking for the bounce on this off of support. It was even here, actually, going back into like late March, early April, starting to rev up again. Hey, I thought there was a chance. If it's not proving itself, though, day to day or even week to week, you just got to move on to a different trade. I don't know this company. I don't know their financials. I focus on charts. And if there's any small news or hype behind it, I'll start with that. But listen, if it's not breaking resistance or flipping that properly into a support, you got to move on to a different trade. So at least out of those, Archer, easily, that's like the only one we'll put on our main list here for right now. We did all right, at least earlier today. Yesterday, it was a lot better. The day before that, on Monday, surprisingly, for Monday, it was actually really good. Today with day trading, it was okay. Had a couple moves here and there. We'll go through them in just a moment, but let's just start from the top. If there's anything else here that's popping right now, maybe we'll run into it here at least. Newton, NWTN. This looks like almost like a buyout here. Pretty flat. It's a dollar stock, but flat. We're not going to trade that. This is a buyout. That's how you could instantly tell. Just it has to be extreme here, like really dead and flat. You could just tell within the first sets of bars after that initial breakout. But that's a buyout for sure. Now, New Egg here, NEGG. Nice little squeeze. Nice little squeeze up. Hey, the order book is pretty thin, though. I'm not as big on that. So if it pops, I just don't want to be distracted. There's easier trades. And I'm not just saying just try and take a quick little pop in that. We gotta feel good with what we're risking here, meaning we have to have a reason why we're jumping into trades. So you want a stock at the high, but it has to have good volume. It's like Archer. That's the best one by far to work with here. HWH will pop, drop. It hasn't proven anything to us since. It's below the VWAP. This has a good order book, but yeah, I mean, right now I need to see a lot more out of this trade if we're going to focus on it. Same thing with this. Lucy, this was, we were hopeful for this to make a much better push, certainly after 8 o'clock in the morning, and then it ended up failing. So now getting back to like some of the more name brand stocks, though, Super Microcomputer up 17%. We have those ETFs there that are up, I guess, double. They're double leverage, so they're up 34, 35% there roughly. Hey, I'd rather trade the stock. I'd rather trade the stock because it's trading a lot more volume. But this one, it's cheaper. If you want me to pair them together, SMCI, that's the stock. And then the other one was SMCL, I think, right? That's the cheaper alternative. You could focus on that maybe. All right, we'll keep it moving here for right now. So SEPN, I was hopeful for this to hold support right off this 950, and it did a great job at first. Actually, throughout a good portion of the day, it was making a good hold off support, but it wasn't making higher highs, right? It's making lower highs. It's more prone to make a lower low. So it resumed this original direction off the highs here afterwards, and that's it. So again, you got to learn to move on. Not every trade is going to be that 500, 1000% mover. And as much as we hope to see a stock make that pop, you got to know when to get out before it goes the complete other direction. All right. Well, today is Wednesday. If you can't hear this, I'm happy. But otherwise, I got all these landscapers around me here in my home office. So if you can't hear that, then I guess I'm just hearing things. But it is Weeding Wednesday, as I like to say here, the Levitan compound. Carrie, give her the hat tip on that name. What else we got here across the gainers list? Rigetti. Yeah. Ooh, nice bounce back up right now. All right. So pretty good to see this, bounce here now at this point. It looked like it was going to be more exhausted heading into the afternoon, but thankfully it did make a nice push back up and above this 1150, reapproaching resistance at 12. That's a great day trade chart here today. The better long-term graph is QBTS. There's a difference between the two companies. Clearly, you could tell one is moving a lot better today than the other. This RGTI moving a lot better here now. I'll add this to our list, but don't forget about QBTS. That's the much better swing chart. This isn't doing anything right now. The other one that we do trade from time to time, QUBT, this isn't looking good either way, day trade or swing trade. So we'll pass there. All right, what else we got here, folks? Just to zip through this here pretty quick. My landscapers are getting closer to my window, I think. All right, TME. Hey, this has been pushing up pretty nicely. Check out some of the other Chinese equities that I'm familiar with, at least. Getting closer and closer. I could just hear it. If you can't hear it, that's good. All right, so TME, 10 cent. It's at the high of the day. That part I like the most. It does have good volume, and wow, this is a hell of a swing chart. 52-week highs, right? So this looks real good. Not all-time highs, obviously, but trying to flip this resistance into an eventual support. Looks like a Fausto flag, too, pretty much, just where that top is holding pretty nicely. I like it. Yeah, I'll add this TME trade. It's on our radar now. All right, let's keep going through here. We'll zip through and finish up quick. Anything else here that I'm familiar with? Any other stocks that are looking good? RKLB, Rocket Lab, that one we commented on yesterday, saying there's potential on this, and obviously today pushing up really well, up 10%. This another one that we've done very well on. This is more in the space sector. Rocket Lab, there was the Lunar trade to complement it as well. Lunar's not doing as nice, so we'll focus more on the RKLB. Alongside RKLB, I think from last year, we also had ASTS. This one isn't doing as good either. All right, pass there. Listen, you got to be picky and choosy. Go through them all and just kind of select the ones that look the strongest heading into the afternoon. So that's what we're doing. EVGO, it's all right. It's up about 9 to 10%. It's tradable, but it might be a little too slow for our blood right now. Listen, I don't want you to be watching the grass grow, watching the paint dry for the next 65, 70 minutes here. I'd rather you try and find something to take some good money out of, but it has to be trading good volume, good spread, good liquidity. So going back now to some of the more familiar names that we're keen to follow, the Tesla here, TSLA, TSLL. I'd be remiss if I didn't add that. I'd probably be fired if I didn't add that. No, Fausto is crushing it on this trade, at least heading into the month. Throughout this whole month from last month, he got back in. He's been crushing it on it. So a lot of our students have too, actually. Let me ask just second question on this for right now. I know we had asked earlier. Well, we always have different people joining us as well from the morning into the afternoon. But who here is in on the Tesla trade? I know a bunch of us wrote to me earlier, wrote to Fausto earlier. So like 15 of us, I think, if not maybe more inside our live trading room. Who is in on Tesla or the TSLL? Doesn't matter. Either way, either way. It's like my question yesterday with Bitcoin, right? Gary, Bill, John, Larry, Michael, Phil, Kathleen, Bell, Lawrence, Debbie, Kerry. There we go. All right. So yeah, I'm going to put that back on our watch list at least. And anything else looking good? Any other familiar names? Did we add NVIDIA yet? You haven't looked at NVIDIA yet? Obviously, NVIDIA. Put that on our list as well, of course. So NVDA, NVDL. Hey, AMD has some crazy news this morning. I don't know if you saw that. AMD, I think, is doing like a $6 billion buyback. If the number's right there, I know Rich posted that news earlier today. I didn't even make a comment on it until now, but now that I remember it, yeah, that's some pretty good news. The $6 billion buyback program. And of course, with the tariffs easing between US and China. So definitely keep your eye on AMD, just again, as a swing trade going forward. Anything else, folks? Looking good. Up, down, left, right, more than 5%. Just let me know here in the chat board. KOLD, Cold, Chuck, if you're here, familiar trade there. ETF. We'll come back to that here in just a moment. Soon, had a good morning, had a great week, actually. EMPH recovering pretty nicely. Listen, there's a lot up right now, like more than 5%. So I'll just go through everything at least, but make sure it has a good spread. Make sure it's, holding pretty strong, not prone to making 30, 50 cent shakeouts like that. All right, let's see if there's anything on the loser side here. Looking just as good, if not better. AUR was recovering earlier today. I guess they had bad earnings or so, but decent recovery here. They're also in the autonomous driving business. They work with freight trucks. I remember that. I did a little due diligence on them from last year. They also did pretty nicely for us as well. I think Uber had a partnership with them a little while ago. They're like minority stake. Speaking of Uber, actually, they broke all-time highs yesterday, so we'll just look at that briefly. So, that's been a hell of a swing trade for a little while now, so I'm sure there'll be more room on that over time, probably get up to $100 soon enough. But I'll tell you, folks, I mean, hey, if there's anything else that you see that looks good, if you're on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the works as always, or if you're Debbie, Kerry, Roseanne, Michael, all of us inside our live trading room, let me know if anything from your side looks good from the gainers list. Check out my Benzinga Pro, as we always do. Wrap it up. Going back to the HWH, it's a maybe. It's a maybe. I mean, there's a chance it could pop, but right now I'd rather focus on stocks closer to the highs. That's all. So this is a little too slow for our blood, as I said, but there's a chance this might look to make a small little move up. Run. We got to go right back to the well here on Run. We put this on our watch list, if not yesterday, then the day before. We've been on top of this for a little while at least, right? Just take a look at least inside our live trading room. Yeah, we had Run on our watch list. It was a few days ago, most recently. I'm sure we talked about it since May 9th, but we had it on our watch list May 9th in the afternoon. So we've done well on this as a short squeeze. It's been moving up pretty much day over day, literally. So we'll go right back to the wheelhouse here and put that back on our list. Michael asking, how do we find out the ETF symbols for Tesla, Palantir, NVIDIA? We can give them to you as we go through, but I would just Google it. Honestly, just simple old Google will give you the full freaking list, right? But otherwise, the ones that trade the most volume, those are the ones that we're calling out prominently inside our live trading room, Mike. So I'll type a couple of them to you here, but I'll just tell you, you don't need to know all of them. Those are the three that are corresponding to those tickers that you're calling out: Tesla, Palantir, NVIDIA. I would just stick with those. Anything more is just going to get too overwhelming. You're pulling your hair out. If you want to do the option income high yield dividend that Fausto does, you could talk to him about that at least tomorrow morning when he comes back to do the morning meeting. I know that those are like TSLY. That's the Tesla one at least. But, there's Palantir, NVIDIA. There's a couple more out there. But listen, there's like 20 ETFs for each company. So I just say this not only to Mike, I say it as a blanket statement, just so anyone out there tuning in the background right now, don't overexert yourself. Don't make it more complicated than it already is. You know what I mean? So those are the three that we prominently call out there for the Tesla, Palantir, and NVIDIA. I know that Fausto is a big fan of PLTU. All right. All right, folks. I think that just about does it, though. There wasn't really anything else that's popping outside of those that we've discussed. take one last look here. Yeah, when I'm getting stocks looking like this, that's kind of my cue to finish up. So let me post this watch list right now, folks. Give me a quick minute. If you're inside our live trading room, at least I'll post this to you here in just about the next 1 or 2 minutes. But if you're joining us on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, otherwise, TikTok, as I like to say, we don't do dances on TikTok, but we teach you how to trade. So feel more than free to subscribe right down below at Cyber Trading U, especially on YouTube there joining us. If you're interested in joining our live trading room, just go right down to the link scrolling down below there on the bottom, ctu.co/trial. That'll get you access to a week-long trial inside our live trading room. And that'll be the best way to tell, like, is this for me? Is this not for me? Are other people doing this? Is this real or not? So otherwise, we look forward to having you at least there. But for Bill, Kathleen, Lynn, and Randy, Kerry, Michael, all of our students, I'll be back on here wrapping you up into the close, folks. I'll be back on in just about 15 or 20 minutes. Talk to you then.